What is up and welcome back. We are your Colorado real estate family, and recently we have been getting so many of you reaching out in regards to the Denver Metro South. In this video right here, we're going to be covering 6 different cities and the Denver Metro South, a few different things that you might want to know if you are planning on calling it your new home. Let's dive right in and talk about the proximity of each of these cities in the Denver Metro South. Pretty much what we're going to be doing is starting on the west side and arcing around and going all the way over to the east side. I'm sure this might be a little bit backwards, but you get what I'm talking about. We'll talk about Lakewood, Colorado. Where is Lakewood, Colorado in regards to Denver? You're looking at roughly like a 16-minute drive. Now this is to the center of Lakewood. I would say if you're on the west side of Lakewood, more in those foothills, plan on more of a 30-minute drive into the heart of downtown Denver. If we move around into Littleton, Colorado, you're looking at about a 21-minute drive. Same thing as that is into the heart of Littleton. If you are planning on getting more up into those foothills, plan on a little bit more like 30 to 45 minutes to get into the heart of Denver from Littleton, Colorado. As we move around, we're going to be going to Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Highlands Ranch is pretty much on the south side of our C470 highway, which is the free portion of this 470 portion. Real quick into that. So if we ever talk about that C470 highway, C470 is your free side on the west side of I-25. If you are on the east side, that is E470, which will be your tolled highway. That's what you take over into Aurora or even going over into DIA, Denver International Airport. Highlands Ranch, we're looking at about a 30-minute drive all the way into the heart of Highlands Ranch, over into the heart of downtown Denver. Again, if you are on the outskirts, closer into those foothills on the south side of Highlands Ranch, plan on that being closer to probably about 40 to 45 minutes. As we work our way around, it's pretty much going to be straight south of Denver, or I guess a little bit southeast. We're going to be talking about Centennial, Colorado. You're looking at about a 27-minute drive from the heart of Centennial over into the heart of downtown Denver. Now, we don't talk about Centennial too often because you don't ask about it that often. We do cover it though whenever you're on a call with us, being like, hey, you know what, I kind of want to be near that DTC, the Denver Tech Center area. So Centennial is one of those cities that does pop up when we are discussing the DTC. And last but definitely not least, we're going to be talking about Parker, Colorado. You're looking at about a 37-minute drive. If you are going to be moving closer to that Ponderosa area though of Parker, plan on closer to probably like 45 minutes to an hour. All of these times can be dictated by the traffic. The Denver South metro area does have a lot of traffic. We're actually going to be covering that a little bit more later on in this video. The second thing that I did want to discuss in regards to the Denver Metro South is let's talk about those schools a little bit. All this information and grades that we are discussing are from niche.com. If you do want to dive in a little bit deeper, we always recommend going to niche.com. So the first county that we're going to be covering is Jefferson County, or this school system is going to be Jefferson County R1, which is actually rated an A- according to niche.com. Again, please make sure you go onto the map to figure out what portion of Jefferson County, because it expands all the way up into like Arvada area, which portion of Jefferson County you are kind of looking at if you are looking in the Denver Metro South. The next county that we're going to be talking about is Douglas County R1, which is also rated an A-. And when we're talking about Douglas County, we're pretty much talking about Littleton, Highlands Ranch, Castle Rock, portions of Parker. These cities right here are going to be covering this Douglas County. And then when we incorporate the Denver Public School System, which is the third county, that's where we talk about the Centennial area, where they are going to have more of your Denver Public Schools, which according to niche.com is rated A-B. The third topic I wanted to talk about was, I guess, the housing, the style of housing, and also the ages of the housing. So if we're talking about housing and the age of it, I'd say just from top of mind, there's nothing analytical in this whatsoever, is that we're looking at probably like Littleton and Lakewood are going to have your older housing. Of course, when you're more on the outskirts, so like Littleton, south of Chatfield Reservoir, they are building a lot of developments down there, a lot of newer developments. Lakewood, if you're pretty much along 470, the highway right there, that's where you're going to see a lot of those developments hugging that highway right there as well too. A quick update though on those developments that are hugging that highway over in Lakewood. We had discussed in previous years with our videos how Bannerman Speedway was always a problem with all the noises and stuff in the development that's pretty much hugging around the speedway. like, you know what, it's crazy loud here, especially on the weekends when they are having all these drag races. So 2023 was actually the last year for Bandimere Speedway to be in operation. There's talks that they're going to be moving, closer to pretty much DIA, Denver International Airport. But we have talked about that in the past. We're like, you know what, watch out, because Bandimere's right there. If you do not want to be next to a noisy speedway, definitely don't live over in this area right here. That is no longer going to be the case. If we are talking about the newest development, I'd say we're probably looking at like Castle Rock, Parker area. These areas have been booming like crazy. Back in the day, essentially what it was is we always talk about the Castle Rock effect, where when we had this huge influx of people moving into the Denver metro area in the early 2010s, a lot of them were like, you know what, I could get more bang for my buck, move down into Castle Rock, and so started blowing up with all these developments. That's no longer the case. You cannot find a house for cheaper in Castle Rock when comparing to Denver. Well, okay, let's just compare like overall numbers. If we're comparing overall numbers, Castle Rock definitely does have a higher median sales price than when we are talking about Denver. But these two areas blew up like crazy, and so you have a lot of new products going in. Castle Rock currently like the east side, on the other side of the foothills. There's all kinds of brand new developments going in. And with Parker, if we're talking about like the north side of Parker, that's a little bit closer to the Denver metro, that is where you're seeing a lot of new developments as well. Now, when we're talking about midway on age, I'd say Centennial and Highlands Ranch are kind of those two midway points, where Highlands Ranch and then Centennial is maybe a little bit newer than Highlands Ranch, but Highlands Ranch really blew up more in the 90s, and they really kind of developed into like the 2000s, even into the early like 2010s. But Centennial on the east side, hugging along with like Aurora, that area is really popping. That's where you see a lot of those newer housing developments. Now, what are we talking about when we're talking about housing? Are we talking about more single family or attached? If you're looking at more of your attached products, there's not going to be too many here as compared to, say, like your Denver area, but there are some. And so like Lakewood, I'd say, is where you're going to find a little bit more attached products, and Centennial, you'll find a little bit more of those attached products. If we're talking about Castle Rock and Parker, definitely going to be a lot more single family homes there than your attached products. Highlands Ranch, I wouldn't say there's a fair balance between the two, but they do have some attached products there, but still definitely more of your suburbia with your single family style housing. While we're on that topic of housing, this is a good time to really dive into the real estate. What is going to be your median sales price in these cities? All these numbers are as of December of 2023. We have not gotten those January numbers across yet. Obviously, the month is not out. Actually, when this video is posted, I think January will just be over. Let's go ahead and cover into those numbers right now, though. But guys, if you are looking at purchasing real estate in the state of Colorado, do yourself a huge favor and give us a call or text that phone number right below. Right there. We have assembled the best team of realtors to help you out with all your real estate needs. If you're not quite ready to purchase, why don't you just follow us along by smashing that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time that we put out a brand new video. All right, let's go and dive in. So the first one I am going to be covering, let's talk about Highlands Ranch, Colorado. As of December 2023, you got a median sales price of $720,000. If we're talking about that number year over year, it is actually up 1.4%. Let's hop on to that next city. We're going to be talking about Littleton, Colorado. Littleton, Colorado is going to come in a little bit lower at $650,000, but that number is actually up year over year, 8.28%. So it's definitely gaining a little bit more traction in regards to those median sales prices as compared to Highlands Ranch, Colorado. While we're on this west side, why don't we hop over into Lakewood, Colorado? You got a median sales price of $595,000 year over year. That is up 19.24%. So it's crazy to see these numbers are going up so much more. A big reason might be that they are hugging those foothills / up in your true Rocky Mountains. You have easy access from Littleton and Lakewood to get up into those ski slopes and all those different activities that you can do up in the mountains. Now, it might be a big reason why there are so many people who are relocating into these two cities. Now let's go ahead and talk about Centennial, Colorado. You got a median sales price of $660,000 year over year. That is up 8.2%. You're literally straight south of the DTC. So we see a lot of people who do end up choosing the Centennial or Highlands Ranch area if they are having to commute over into the Denver Tech Center on a daily basis. Breaking on to the next city, we're going to be talking about Castle Rock, Colorado, which has a median sales price of $665,000. This is the only city that was down year over year, but only just by a bit. It was only down 1.12%. I'd say if anything, it's probably just a little bit stagnant like this. We have seen a lot of people choose this area though because there's so many options that they do have with their new build products. Let's hop on over to Parker, Colorado, where we're looking at that median sales price. It's got a median sales price of $667,000, and that one is also up 7.49%. So all of these cities are up except for Castle Rock, even with one of those breaking into the double-digit increases when we're talking about Lakewood, Colorado. The fifth and final thing that we are going to be covering in regards to the Denver Metro South is the difference between the Denver Metro South and the Denver Metro North. If this is your first time watching us, let me just say that my family decided the Denver Metro North side of things, and there's a few reasons for that, but let's kind of go over the differences a little bit. The number one being is that the Denver Metro South is definitely more congested. As we already talked about, you have the Denver Tech Center down there. That's what blew up the Denver Metro South faster than your Denver Metro North, with all kinds of people relocating into Colorado for those tech jobs and having an easy commute. Highlands Ranch, Lakewood, Littleton, all these areas really started to blow up, and that's where I see a lot of that congestion did come from. Another thing that we want to talk about in regards to the differences between the two is the South Denver Metro is definitely a lot more of your foothills. Now, if we break over into Centennial, it is a little bit more flat, but essentially what our foothills do is they wrap down Golden, and I'd say Lakewood, Littleton, and then they kind of start to wrap around a little bit, hugging the bottom side of Highlands Ranch, and those foothills kind of break across right there. So when you're driving from Denver down into Castle Rock, you actually have to go up and over the foothills and then down into Castle Rock on the pretty much the bottom of the foothills right there. And so that's a desirable thing. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be in a flat city like you are seeing in the Denver Metro North. And so that's why they are choosing the Denver Metro South, so they can take advantage of those hiking activities, biking, walking trails, all those great things that the Denver Metro South does offer with the hills that they do have there. Another difference from the Denver Metro South as opposed to the Denver Metro North is since it did develop so much sooner, you do have a lot more amenities. So when we're talking about Colorado's only IKEA, they have it down there. Topgolf did initially put their first location down there. Now we do have three of them. We have one in Colorado Springs, one in Denver Metro South, and one up in Thornton in the Denver Metro North. This is an area that really started to get a lot of those amenities. You have Park Meadows Mall down there. If you go down to Castle Rock, you have the Outlet Mall down there. When we did talk to a Futures, I think it was probably like 7 years ago, they had talked about how if you take Highlands Ranch, pretty much the blueprint of Highlands Ranch, flip it and bring it up in the Denver Metro North, that is going to be the new Thornton. So now Thornton up in the Denver Metro North is where we are seeing a lot of these new amenities. So you have like the Denver Premium Outlets out there. You also have a Topgolf. And so they're bringing a lot more of those amenities up north, more in your Thornton kind of Westminster area. The last difference that I did want to cover comparing the Denver Metro South to the Denver Metro North is your access to commuter rail. Again, since this area was so much more concentrated with your housing and people moving into there, the commuter rail really did establish initially in that area. So you still have 3 different lines that go Denver Metro South and 3 lines that go Denver Metro North. And so you have the W, D, and E lines, which go south. And if you look at the map, there's so many stations that are spanning across this Denver Metro South area as opposed to the Denver Metro North. The Denver Metro North, you have the G, B, and N lines, and those ones are still going, and it's taken a little bit. I feel like the South, when those stations were first going in, it was going up pretty quick. Up north, we're still on waiting for like some approval of some of these stations to be built, when the projected time frames are and all this stuff. But yeah, since that South did develop a little bit sooner, that's why they have so many more commuter rail stations down in the South as opposed to Denver Metro North. All right, guys, that brings you all the information for this video. We're talking about the Denver Metro South. If you are planning on calling this to your home, give us a call or text that phone number right below. Right below it there, we have that top relocation team to help you out with all your real estate needs. If you're not quite ready yet though, why don't you follow along with us by smashing that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time that we put out a brand new video. Until next time, we love you. Bye.